This Hangout is live. So Sarah, I'm going to bring it over to you. At this point, we have a few people. Okay, so we have a few people who have checked in as of right now.
Oh, we can't see their faces at the bottom.
No.
I guess I'll wait a few minutes and then begin. Are there people in it yet?
Let's see. Hi, I just got bumped out.
Oh.
But I'm back. All right, I guess. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Welcome to the Google Apps Showcase. Our Google On-Air Hangout is Thursday, October 16th, 2014 at 7 p.m. Your presenters tonight are Amanda, Joanne, Kristen, and Sarah. What are Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides? They are productivity apps. They help you create a variety of documents. They are documents that you can share with other people. And they are documents which enable you to collaborate with other people idiosyncratically on the web. They are apps that don't even require internet connectivity. Today we will be providing you with an overview on Google Apps to jumpstart your exciting adventures in Google. Specific emphasis on Google Documents, presentations, spreadsheets, forms, and drawings. Any questions throughout the showcase, please feel free to ask and we will answer at the conclusion of the presentation. Just a quick overview on where you can find it. If you go into your Drive, which I will show you my Drive. If you go into my Drive and you click the red Create button, you have different options. So you have an option to create a folder, you have options to create a document, a presentation, a spreadsheet, form, and drawing, amongst other applications. We will be focusing on these applications: documents, presentations, spreadsheets, forms, and drawing. So whenever you want to create a new document, you just would click the red Create button and click Document or Presentation and so on. Now I'm going to send it to Joanne.
Hi everyone, good evening. Today I'm speaking to you about Google Documents and the wonderful ways that you can use them. They can be accessed from any computer with a web browser and internet connectivity. It's an online word processor, which is wonderful, and it's a web-based application way of creating, editing, and storing a document online. It can be created, viewed, edited by multiple people simultaneously as collaborators and give them editing, commenting, or viewing access, depending on its purpose or the purpose that you want to use it for. You collaborate online in real time and chat with other collaborators, and right from inside the document you can do this, which is great. I love Google Docs. One other thing that we wanted to talk about was what you can do with them. Also, you can upload Word documents and convert them into Google Documents, which is great. You can format documents using similar functions that Word has like such as fonts and colors and margins, changing margin spacing, inserting pictures and tables. You can do that too. You can view your document's revision history, which is really neat, and roll back to any previous version, which is great, especially if you had some kind of changes that you wanted to make and go back to later on. The neat thing you could do with Google Docs is that you can download a Google document to your desktop as a Word or OpenOffice or RTF, PDF, HTML, or even a zip file. And you can translate a document to even a different language, which is neat. You can also email your documents to other people as attachments. And some of the best practices that you can do, especially as a beginner, is you work with partners, and that's really the collaborative tool using this type of Google Docs and the other applications. It's wonderful. Also sharing using Google Groups, which is great too. Okay, I'm going to bring you to sharing my screen, going off. And here's an untitled document. Right here, as you create a document in Google Drive, you'll go to Create, you'll go to Documents, and then once you've created one, you go to Untitled Document. You'll name your document, whatever you want it to be. You, of course, can change it repetitively, you know, throughout the entire time that you're using that document, if you choose. You have a file option here. You can share it, new, open, renaming, making copies, language, downloading as, all these features that I mentioned before. You can publish to the web. You can set up your page the way you want it, and of course you have the ability to print. You can edit, undo, redo, and you can cut and paste, but that's the control functions and the shortcut keys you can use for that as well. Paste, web clipboard is available, and you can also use all those other shortcuts. View is great. You can use a print layout, mode showing rulers, toolbar, equation toolbars, spelling suggestions, and so on. Insert. I love it because you can insert images, you can create hyperlinks, you can use equations if you wanted, you can use the drawing tool, tables, and what's great is the table is so easy to use. You just pick how many. If you wanted it 3 by 3, there you go, and you got it. Footnotes, special characters, horizontal lines, page numbers, page count, page break, headers, footers, bookmarks, to table of contents. Once I show you this, a lot of these features will be repeated later on in the other apps as well, but I'll show it to you for the first time. Format, you can do bold, italic, underline, strike through, which is great to use if you're fixing something if you like. Superscript, subscript, paragraph styles, which is wonderful to use. Aligning, line spacing, lists, clear formatting, which is great too. Tools, you have a spelling feature. You have a research tool, which I'm not going to get very much into today, but that is a great tool to look for information, even pictures, videos, and other options that you might want to add to your document. Define, word counts, translate documents, script editors, preferences, and personal dictionary to add to it. Let's say it's your name and it's a very hard name to spell and you just don't want to see that misspelled continuously. Inserting tables, add-ons, getting add-ons, and help, which is really very helpful actually. I've used it quite a lot. But there's a comments feature. You can comment to somebody who you're collaborating with. Or if you are teaching other students, you can also leave them comments if you'd like. You can share the document with whomever you want. You decide, you title the document. Well, first you have to save it, and then you can share it with others. And you can give them editing privileges, commenting, viewing privileges, and those are choices that you can make. Another thing is you could print from here. Undo, redo, some of the same things that are up here on this toolbar. You can shrink it, zoom it in. You can change your fonts. You can change, you can change your type of text, the sizing. You can also check, go to fonts, types of font, size of font, and then there's a more button which I use quite a lot. I find it convenient, maybe even more convenient than the top, but you know what? Everybody has their own personal preference, and that's why Google makes it easy to use in multiple ways. There's bold, italicize, underline, text color, hyperlinks, comments, of course alignment, line spacing, numbering, bullets, and if you want to increase indent, decrease indent, and also clear the formatting. You have the mode selection of editing, suggesting, or viewing, and you can even shrink back that top bar so you don't see it anymore. So I'll give you an example of one that was created just so that you can see what you can do with it. This is an American Porcupine by Danielle. And she's in 4th grade, and she created this document. She did some research on 4th grade animals. She inserted pictures. She was able to speak about the different aspects of the animal and insert a diagram and also list the links that she used for her resources. And that's 4th grade. And now, my presentation is done for this at this point, and we are going straight to Amanda.
Thanks, Joanne. So today I'm going to be speaking about Google Presentations, which is also formerly known as Google Slides. Google Presentation has a lot of similar features to Microsoft PowerPoint, the Mac Keynote program, as well as Prezi, which I'm sure many of you have heard of those programs. It's given to you in a simpler format with a lot of the same features that Joanne has already described. But when you would first start creating your PowerPoint, you would, just as Sarah showed us, click on that red Create button at the left side of your main page. And it would bring you to this screen where the first thing that Google Presentations is going to ask of you to do is pick a theme. A theme is basically the background that will be set forth for the rest of your presentation, which you can change at a later point. Or there are themes that you can import yourself. So I'm just going to pick the paper plane theme. From here, you have the ability to easily add slides of your choosing, which is the use of the addition button. But if you wanted to choose the layout of your slides, clicking the drop-down box will allow you to do so. So based on the type of presentation you're working on, whether it's just image-based or it's text and image-based, it gives you different layouts that you can choose from. Just as Joanne showed you, we have undo, redo buttons, and the great thing about presentations is that you're able to insert a plethora of things, such as a text box, images, shapes, and lines. In addition to, on your Insert tab, you have the ability to embed not only images, but links and videos. So presentations is what we call embeddable because you are able to show and link URLs as well as display videos within the presentation itself, which I think is a great feature of it. You also have, once you have created your slides, so say I have my 3 or 4 slides that I need for my presentation, you have the ability to work on the animations. Similar feature that we see in PowerPoint and Keynote. You can work on animations for not only the individual slides, but the transitions from one slide to the next, which I'll show you in an example that I have. But many of the tabs were gone over with Joanne, and they have the similar features. One thing that I do want to note is that at the bottom of your screen, you'll see where it says click to add notes. We call those speaker notes in our presentation. So say you are giving your presentation and you want to make sure that you don't have too much text on your slide, but you want to make sure you hit some key points while you're speaking. You can come all the way up here to your Present button, and if you click on the drop-down box and you click Present with Speaker Notes, I don't know if we can see it here, but it'll show you the notes that you have added to your notes section while you're presenting. So just in case you forget for a moment, it's there to help guide you. Your presentation button also allows you to present from the beginning or present in a new window. Just like documents and some of the other features, you have the ability to comment, especially when you're working collaboratively, and have the ability to share with those who you give the privilege to view or edit or comment. You have that ability to have that real-time editing and real-time viewing capabilities. So I just wanted to show you one example from my classroom. I'm a 5th grade teacher, so we work with the Bill of Rights. So there's a lot going on this screen, but I gave the students the assignment of picking an amendment, and I will present it to you. Hopefully we can all see this. There are transitions. They worked on animating, picking their backgrounds, the fonts, the colors, and transitioning from one slide to the next. So they did a really great job with it. I really kind of gave them full range as to what I wanted them to do, and they did a really awesome job with using the tools that Presentations is able to give to you in a simplistic format. That's great for even elementary school students. So coming back, presentations can be used in many different ways. We have the ability to collaborate and have real-time viewing and real-time editing at the same time, and the fact that it's embeddable, you can also import and export your presentation into different formats. You can convert it from Microsoft PowerPoint, if that's what you're familiar with, and then convert it back to Google Slides. So you have that capability. You can also download your slides as a PDF file or a JPEG file. You have that ability as well. The uses that I've seen for presentations, personal, virtual scrapbook. You can have your images and text boxes describing the pictures, but as educators, I've seen it as you saw in my example, a presentation, any type of presentation that you want your students to practice with, or even if you have had some training and you're turnkeying it. Google Presentations is a great way to give access to your audience, the slides that you have, in addition to being able to set it up pretty quickly. Reviewing for quizzes. iClickers I know are a huge hit in the education field, and you have the ability to link those iClickers, those remote clickers, to Google Slides, which I think is a great feature. Comic strips I've seen, as well as even a quick and easy back-to-school picture slide so parents can see pictures of your class as they walk in. It's a great tool for that as well. There is one thing in our forum I am going to post. There's a YouTube video called the most awesome 450-page presentation ever. It takes about 2 minutes long, and it's a presentation all animated just using Google Slides or Google Presentation, and it blew me away. And I really think it's just a great video to see the capabilities that Google Presentation can provide you. It's definitely worth the watch. So now we're going to take it over to Sarah.
Okay, I am going to talk to you about Google Forms. I personally love Google Forms because you can create them collaboratively, just like in Google Documents and Google Slides that we have seen. But what I like about it also is you can use it for school, you can use it for your personal life also, which I will show you. So I'm going to if I can get it. This is what Google Forms looks like when you open it from that red Create button that I showed you before. So you have, just like Joanne and Amanda said, you have a lot of the same features at the top. Just like the file, you can add collaborators so more people can work on it at the same time. You can send the form to someone, which is the same button as in the top right corner. You can create a new one. You can open one, rename one, make a copy. You can move it to a folder. You can delete it. You can download it as a separate values spreadsheet. You can embed it, and you can email collaborators and actually print it. Under the edit form, you can undo and redo, and in the view, you can view it as a live form, so what it would look like if you sent it to someone. You can edit the questions, you can change the theme, which I will talk about in a minute, and there's compact controls, and you can make it a full screen so that way you don't have any reminders at the top. You can view view it as a live. You can insert text, paragraph text, multiple choice, checkboxes. You can choose from a list. Scale, grid, date, time, all different tools. You can have a section header as you're typing. So if you want to separate some questions, that this is for this story, for example, all those questions would be for that section header. You can create a page break. You can put in an image to ask a question and insert a video and have the students or your friends answer questions. For responses, as the creator, you can choose accepting responses. You can have a summary of the responses, choose separate destination, get a pre-filled URL, and delete all responses as the administrator on the Google form. Under Tools, you have Script Manager and Script Editor, and of course the Help button, which is, as Joanne said before, very helpful. At the top here where it says Untitled Form, you just click it and you can rename it whatever you want. So for this, we're just going to name it Google. So it changes my title, and it changes it over here also as the title of the form. As form settings, I can show the progress bar at the bottom so that way I know how many people responded. I can allow only one response per person. So for students, if they're taking a quiz, that's a good tool. You just click it, and then if they try to go back, they can't do it. You can shuffle the question order, so when students log in, they may have a different order. At the top here, you can edit the questions, which are down here. You can change the theme, which comes up on the side, so you can change it to whichever one you want, depending the topic that you're doing. So, for example, I'll just choose fireworks for right now. You can customize it, so if you want different header or title or description, you can change that. Okay. You can view responses, so after you send it to people, you can view the responses and see what they wrote. And then as the administrator, you can view the form live. So we're just going to click off of this. And if you go to the bottom here, it says Google, which is what we titled it, and then you have an untitled question. So you can edit questions. You have to go from change theme to edit questions. And under question title, you can change it. What are forms? You can add a help text to assist the students or whoever you are sending this to. And then you can change the question. You have a lot of different question types. So you have a text, paragraph text, multiple choice, checkboxes, choose from a list, scale, grid, date, and time are just some of the choices. And then even in your multiple choice, you can add an other text to help to, if there's no choice, the student or your friend can write in. And then one of my favorite features is you click the required question and the students have to answer that question. You also have some advanced settings, so you can choose per question, like we talked about, like I mentioned before. You can shuffle the option order in this for each question, as well as shuffling the questions. Okay, and then after, you just keep adding an item, and it will ask you what type of question. You can add a lot of questions, pretty much as many as you would like. And then at the bottom, when you're done, you have a couple different options. So you can show the link to submit other response. You can publish and show public link form results. And you can allow responders to edit responses after submitting. So if they submit it and then they realize that they need to change an answer, they can do that. You can click that. You don't have to click it. It's not mandatory. What I do like about this also is if you want to send an invitation to your friends, you can use it for personal use also, and you can you can make an invitation and send it, and you can get responses live. You can also make this anonymous, which is nice. So if you don't want people to know, you can if you want to just create questions and the students don't want to know, they can just make it anonymous, which is a nice feature. Okay. And you can send the form to the students, you can send it to your family, you can send it to your friends. You just have to share the link with them under the send form. I'm going to show you one that is already done. So this is one that I am using actually for my class. It's on food, the topic is food and nutrition. So these are required questions. They have the asterisk. So these are just some of the questions that I created, like what is your name, what is your favorite food, select each type of food. They can select as many as they would like. They choose a multiple choice question. Do you cook your own meals? Another multiple choice question. Do you buy your own food? Where do you buy your food? Do you drink soda? If so, how much? Just multiple questions and different types of questions. I changed up the questions so that way when it's just a variety for the students. I personally love Google Forms, and I use it in my personal life, and I use it in school also. I teach ESL, and when I send this to the kids, they really love it. They love the Google Forms feature, and that they can make it anonymous, or they can write their name on it. So now I'm going to send it to Kristen.
Hi, everyone. Let me just make sure I can. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Kristen, and I will be showing you Google Drawing. This is a really great feature. It has many benefits, both personally and professionally. Actually, the more I've played with it over the past few weeks, the more I've really fallen in love with it. I find that I can use it for so many different things. And I also find that it's much easier, personally, than Microsoft Word, and it's also comparable to Microsoft Paint, which is not used in my life personally anymore, but this is something that really takes the place of it. I find it can do a lot more. I use this, I plan on using this in my classroom a lot, and I'll show you in a few minutes some of the ways that I plan on doing this. First, let me just screen share with you, and I will show you how to use this. Okay, so if you first take a look, this is what a blank document would look like. This is accessible by going to the Create button, that big red button, when you're in your Google Drive, as some of the other presenters had shown you before. So once you're in this, you'll see you can change the name of your document. Let's say Google Presentations, we'll just call it that. You can press enter, and the title will change. This is something that is common of all Google Drive apps, and it's very helpful in organizing and labeling things. The next thing that I'd like to show you, again, I'll just summarize this because you've seen this in other presentations earlier today. It has the whole toolbar, which if you go to your right-hand side, you can hide it if you'd like more space, or you can show it. I prefer to have it shown, so this way it's easier and more accessible. You can click the File button, which you can see you can start a new one, and by clicking New, you aren't only stuck making a new drawing. You have the option to make any new Google document, spreadsheet, and presentation form, etc. You can open something you've got saved. You can move to a folder, so you really have a lot of options, as well as printing, which is something you will definitely want to use when I show you something that I've made. Then if you go to Edit, Undo, and Redo are big ones, and they're very good to know. They're also accessible right over here on your screen. You can view, you can zoom in or out. You can enter a text box, an image. Now, one of the things that I really like about this is you can enter an image from the internet that you have saved on your computer. It could be a personal image. The possibilities are really endless, which is really nice for doing drawings that you'll see in a minute. I'll show you. You can also enter word art, lines. When you're entering these types of things, you can see how many different options you have. One of my favorites is Scribble. So if I click Scribble, if you hold down your mouse, you can continue to draw as long as you'd like. When you release, you can see that it's highlighted. And then you'll have the option to do things like change the color. And this is for if you want a free draw. I've seen some amazing artists that use this, and you would not believe that this was done on a computer. They draw people, scenery, you name it, they can do it with this tool. It really, you have to Google this because it's amazing. If you want it to disappear, you can either click the select button and press delete, or you could have just pressed undo, and there it goes. And then you have a blank screen again. If you would like to insert shapes, you can see how many different shape options you have. For example, let's say I enter smiley face. I can click and drag to make the smiley face a different shape and size. Now it's highlighted. Again, I can change the color. I like pink, if you can't tell. You can also change the line surrounding it. I'll make that a dark color. You can see it surrounding that. And this, again, if once it's highlighted, you can always make it bigger or smaller, flip it over, you name it. Now you can also, once you have writing, you can format and all of those great things that you can do in other apps as well. You can choose where you'd like it on the page. You can group, ungroup, and regroup if you have multiple items on the screen. You have tools such as spelling research, similar to Google Docs. Another feature which is interesting is adding a table, which I find that this is really a combination between many different apps, because you have the ability to still make things like you were using Excel or FreeDraw, or add things that are similar to Google Docs. So it really is kind of a universal tool. Now, one thing that I would like to show you that I have done is I've used this for the classroom. I'm currently working on beginning, middle, and end with my students. So you can see I created a graphic organizer from scratch. So I used boxes, I created shapes, I used text boxes. When I created my rectangles, I just double-clicked, and that allowed me to write right inside. I was able to get my words this way by typing them regularly, and then I can spin them any way I want so that it fits the way I'd like it. And I can just click undo to make it the way I had it. And another one that I would like to use with my students, and I've actually done this was done by one of my advanced ESL students. He's a 5th grader. We read the book online, I Need My Monster, as a beginning activity for beginning, middle, and end. I created this on the computer, and I was able to share this with my students by clicking this blue button here. I was able to type in their email addresses. They were able to open it up on their Google Drive, and they can simply just use this basically as a form where they can double-click, they can change their name, and they can change the information and make it their own. For this particular assignment, I wanted them to make it very visual to help them organize their ideas. So for them, I figured it would be a little bit quicker and easier if they went searching on the internet, so they were able to do that and find pictures that fit perfectly and represented the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. And then they were able to input those and then be able to write about them now that they have their visual. So that was one thing. If I decide to them, I'd rather you draw this freehand, they could simply delete this, go into the different tools here. They can use Scribble if they'd like, and they can create their own picture that would represent it as well. So those are some of the things that I have done in my classroom. I find that it to be very, very useful. There's really a lot of flexibility, and I think that you would use it often as well. It's a little bit easier than some of the other programs because you can put things anywhere you want on the screen and really make it your own. So that is Google Drawing, and I'm going to pass you back over to Joanne.
Hi everyone, I'm back. Today, at this point, I'm talking about spreadsheets, Google spreadsheets. It's similar to Microsoft Excel. Google Sheets is an online spreadsheet app, and it lets you create and format spreadsheets the way you'd like. These spreadsheets allow you to store data sets, make calculations, and are automatically processed. So when the values, when you change the values in the cells, it changes other values if you wanted to, if your settings, if you set it that way with functions. And you can edit using those functions, which is a very good tool, and I'll show you in a few minutes exactly how that's used. Google Spreadsheets, the neat feature about them is that you can simultaneously work with other people. And I've done that with many, many people. I continue to do that even across the country, and it's very useful. And, you can import and convert Excel, CSVs, text, ODSs, and you can different formatted data into and change it into a Google spreadsheet, which is great. You can export it as well and change it to Excel, CSV, text, and ODS, that formatted data, as well as PDFs and HTMLs in case you want to send it and not allow people to change the values or anything else that you created on it. You can use formulas, formula editing to perform calculations on your data and use formatting and make it look just the way you want it. Colors, highlights, and that way you can really personalize the information. You can chat in real time with others who are editing your spreadsheet, which is convenient, especially if you're working with other people that are not very close by. You can create charts with your data, which is great because if you're using it and you want to show it in a visual format, a picture format, you could change it to a pictograph and a chart or a pie chart and or a table, and that can really change your data, the looks of your data, so that you can present it in another way. You can embed a spreadsheet or individual sheets of your spreadsheet if you want onto your blog or website. And that's good too because you don't have to give editing privileges, but people can see what you've created and use it in the way that you decide it to be used, which is fun. So I'm going to really take you now to, straight to, and you can hear me, to an untitled spreadsheet. Obviously, it's similar to Word and the other apps. You can title your spreadsheet, you can use all these functions, then you have the similar functions, but here's where it changes. You can add format of currency, you can use percentages, you can decide where your decimal point is going to be placed, left or right, and how many zeros to the left or right. You can use more formatting, and this gives you so many other choices. You can use dates and how you want the date to be shown, and times. All of these you can see and read yourselves. And you can have even more currencies, more dates. And of course, Google is really moving ahead, and they're changing things and adding things all the time. So you can just bet there might be more things next time you look. The font is the same, bold, strike through, options, and the more. Now the cool thing about this part is that of course you can insert a chart, but you can add a filter and view and filter views, and you can also, and the most important part of this is the function application, and that's where you can use, these are the simple ones. It's usually you want a sum of, an average, a count, a maximum, a minimum if you're looking at data. But other functions, which is really neat, and this gives you a list of them, really has expanded quite a bit with Google. And there's more and more areas that you can add to the functionality. A few years ago, there really wasn't that many applications. We have many accountants in my family, so I'm very familiar with all these. And you're always looking at the differences between the two, which is kind of neat. So now I'll bring you to a couple of examples. One example is a P-12 ELA text and resource list that we've created. It was a joint shared document between all the elementary school librarians. This is straight from Engage New York, and in our district, we decided to see what resources we had, whether they were books, texts, or other types of resources like links that we could use to give all the teachers the curriculum they need based upon the grade, the module, the domain, and what books there are, what each building had on hand, and there's a lot of notes. So there's more pages, as similar to Excel as well, and these are just links to a grade 3 module 2, and would be the links that they could click on to get to a specific article or a play with narrations, and everyone has access off the library website for this. So that's a really great feature that we created. Another application that can use, and this is more like an accounting type of thing, it is a regular spreadsheet. Notice the tabs on the bottom. You can really keep adding as you like. So if you wanted revenue and you wanted PSDs and recurring revenue and you wanted to make the functions and create the functions, change them into percentages, there's formulas or functions that you would use to create these, and then it would give you the summation that's desired for the data. And it's really great. I'll just give you another example. I'll go to R&D, Research and Development, and this is, you see how you can color code it, and if one sum changes, because you have the functionality and you determine what the values would be and how they would change, it would change the actual total at the end, which is nice. So no math involved other than organizing the information to begin with. Naturally, you can share this with others. They can make changes. They don't need to make changes. They can just view it if you want them to. And those are part of the main applications of Sheets. So I'm going to take you now to Miss Amanda.
So that is the end of our presentation about Google Drive. We do not, unfortunately, have our Q&A feature enabled. It cannot be enabled once we have started our broadcast. I can try quickly now, but unfortunately it's not working. But as a Google Chrome cohort, we have the ability for you to ask us any questions on the Blackboard discussion board. What I will do is we will make a thread as a group, and any questions throughout the next few days that you have, and I will also post the link from the Google presentation YouTube video that I had mentioned. The four of us, Joanne, Kristen, Sarah, and I will work as a team to answer any questions and any concerns that you have as you are working through and making your way through Google Drive. We all hope that it was very informative and that you learned something new, even if it was just one small thing about either Google Sheets or Google Forms. I think I've learned something from one of the other apps that my presenters presented for us today, and we hope that you have a good evening and enjoyed your time here. Thanks so much. Everybody say bye. Bye.